Hey y'all, it's Sharon and I'm back to share another policing experience with you guys. If you're new to the channel, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the US, and I was also in the military. I am sharing my experiences along with my perspective in hopes of helping people in similar situations or just helping them in general. And with that being said, I just want to take a couple of minutes to share with you how I came into whistleblowing and some of the experiences that led up to me whistleblowing twice in my career. I remember back in the early 90s, I worked at a nursing home, and I was training, and I trained the two different nurses at the time. And I remember one of the nurses saying, you know, it's $750 a day to stay in this nursing home. And that was the early 90s, mind you. So it was a well-to-do nursing home, so to speak. And a lot of the patients or clients at the time were old, very old, like above 90, a 90 and above. And most of them were white. And I remember training one day. We go to class and then we'll train the rest of the day with the regular nurses. So I go train, and this older woman, I did not have a chance to meet her. She died in the room. So, you know, I'm following the nurse, and she starts preparing the body. And then like maybe 2-3 other nurses walk in, and they were like, oh, the witch is dead. And they started singing that song from The Wizard of Oz, right? They put her false teeth on her chest as she lays in the bed. They kind of halfway wrapped her with the sheet. And they were telling me, just leave her, you know, the BITCH. She was just nasty and mean and all this other stuff. And I'm like confused because I want to learn the job. So they tell me to leave her. They put her false teeth on her chest when it should have been in her mouth because of rigor mortis and stuff like that. So they leave her the teeth on her chest, and they take the toilet plunger and the scrub brush out of her bathroom, and they parade out of the room talking about ding dong, the witch is dead, da da da. And I'm just walking out like uncomfortable, to say the least, right? We go back to class. We're talking about things that happen. The RN tells everybody, write down a good and a bad that you saw. I write it down. Now, mind you, early 90s, I'm in my 20s, not thinking much about it. I pass the paper forward. Less than probably the next day, the RN teacher comes to me. She's like, what, you wrote something on this paper? I said, well, yeah, that's what happened. And she's like, tell me exactly what happened. And I told her exactly what I just told you guys. She sends me back to work. I think nothing of it. But I start to notice that the nurses that were so helpful are not helpful anymore. I noticed that people are whispering, kind of like, you know, when people are talking about you. And the two nurses that I worked under, one was a Black lady. She was about to retire like 2 weeks later. And it was a Hispanic nurse, and she had been there for like 10 years. I'm in the lunchroom eating. I'm feeling the difference in people, how they're interacting with me, but I'm not putting it together yet. So the nurse, the Black nurse, she comes in and she's like, girl, and she's talking to me like something you see out of a movie. And she's whispering, and she's got her hands in her pocket. And she says, girl, she said, just watch your back. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I don't know. Did you say something about something? And I was like, well, yeah, I wrote it down on the paper. They said to write. She's like, girl, she's like, I got 2 more weeks to retire. I'm not trying to mess nothing up, but just watch your back. Just watch your back. And I'm like, okay. I go back to work. Now, I had 6 different clients or patients I had to deal with, elderly. And there was a couple. One was, he was deaf, and she was blind, right? Or is it the other way around? But I had those two. When I take them to lunch, and when we take them to lunch, we have to tell the chef what their diet requires, you know, blending or puree or cut up, stuff like that. So I tell the chef, and now I'm called away. One of the nurses said, we need you over here to da-da-da. I go, but I come back, and there's been an incident in the lunchroom with my clients. I get written up. I go back to the class, and, you know, I'm trying to figure out, like, what do I do in this situation? And the RN says, well, you know, you can't leave them. You've got to make sure they sit down and eat. And if they need feeding, you need to get some help, da-da-da. This went on for a week, and the whole week, I was called away and then something happens. If I'm in the room, I'm called away and something happens. So basically, I ended up getting fired because I guess people were angry that I said something about the lady dying. But the reason why I shared that story is to share this story. In policing, the 2 times that I had to blow the whistle, I can now look back and see from experience and the way I did things has led up to me even just sitting here. I heard T.D. Jakes say one time, the very thing that you despise is the very thing you're called to fix. And injustice for me is the thing that I despise ever since I was little. You know, your parents blaming you for the younger kids doing stuff, and I would just speak up or speak back and get in trouble for it. Injustice to me is the worst thing, and I'm not going to just sit by and let it happen. If I can do anything about it, I'm going to do something about it. So the 2 times that I had to whistleblow, I think about what led up to it. And even in the first situation, I shared it with you guys about being on an entry team. We served warrants, and I was the shield person. And now these people that I'm supposed to trust in back of me, not all of them, most of them, I'm supposed to trust in back of me with a gun, and they're telling N-word jokes and biscuit jokes about me. So any logical person wouldn't just sit there and just keep going on with the job, you know. Hence, back in the 90s, when I was in my 20s, I went to the job not knowing and not understanding fully what I did. But now, here I am whistleblowing, and I'm understanding a little bit more about people and what they will do and what they won't do. Let's just leave it at that. And for me, injustice, again, the injustice in me whistleblowing on my own teammates about the N-word jokes and the biscuit jokes about me is that don't smile in my face and talk about, you know, we're police officers and there's a brotherhood and a sisterhood, but then you're talking about me behind my back. And then I'm the shield person through the door with a gun. And then the types of jokes that you're telling, racial. So how do you see me if we're brother and sister in policing? Is it just policing? It can't be, because you wouldn't be telling the N-word jokes and calling me, you know, stuff racial. You wouldn't be doing that if it was a true sisterhood or brotherhood, right? So yes, I had to speak up about that. Then the other time, some of my teammates on a search warrant doing things they shouldn't have been doing, right? And then it seems like they're always doing it to the poor areas, the brown and black folk areas. I'll just leave that at that. And then if I'm asked questions, you expect me to lie for you? Not so much. I don't expect you to lie for me. I wouldn't expect it. Because like I said, I'm going to speak up and do and take the blame for whatever I do. That was always my philosophy. But that's why I spoke up. And I want to share that with you, because if you can look back, because the whistleblowing helped me look at the condition of my own heart. Because I kept asking, you know, why they treat me like that? What kind of hearts do they have? And in my faith, the Holy Spirit said, you need to check on your own heart. And that's when I realized that I had an issue with white males. Yeah, I told you about that and where it comes from. I no longer have that, but it made me look inside myself and question some of the things that I believed and I carried with me throughout the years. But yeah, I'm writing a book, and I'm going to share more details about the whistleblowing and how it led me to question the condition of my own heart and what I found and how I fixed it. And I'm continuing to learn from it and fix it to this day. All right. Stay tuned for that. I'll put the book out soon. Take a look at our online store. The link is in the description, along with some notebooks that I created. The link for those are in the description. Take you straight to Amazon. You don't have to search. All right, guys? And always remember, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you later. Bye.